بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One of the phenomena that we see today in our Western societies are the imams joining hands with the liberal groups, some of them who even contradict the basic tenets of Islam, with the objective of, getting help and protecting the Muslim community. I'm not going to necessarily question people's intention. They've explained themselves and they said, look, we're going through hard things. We want to protect the Muslim community. However, I believe that they are totally wrong. Totally wrong. If they understand anything about Western history and how the Western laws of today have come to exist, then they would understand that it is based on conflict. Yes, that is correct. You heard me well. Conflict. Left pushes, right pushes, everyone pushes. Whoever establishes the greatest foundation, the greatest push, will in the end pass their laws. Throughout the political system of America, you'll find the same things. So it seems that our scholars in the West, some of them, of course, not all of them, might have missed that. And we advise them to come back to their senses and stop joining hands with these groups that are going against the Quran and the Sunnah. And I want to just point out one thing. I want to point out that an organization that's dating, if you actually look into, since the 70s, 1977, which is called NAMBLA, NAMBLA. It's called North American Man-Boy Love Association. And it is, you'll see it, it was founded on December the 2nd, 1978. It is 42 years ago. It's older than me, than you and I, a lot of us. The founder is David Thorstad, and it is a uni incorporated association and focuses pedophile and pederasty activism. Location, New York City and San Francisco. So, why am I saying this? 42 years, bros. You guys think that this pedophile is just coming right now? Actually, if you look at it, these guys are some of the founders of the LGBTQ movement as well, and the designer of the gay flag, of the rainbow. And what you have to understand when it comes to human rights, and that's the problem with our so-called brothers, da'is in the West, is that under the pretext of human rights, they're trying to say, look, we need human rights. As Muslims, we are a minority in the West, and these people are a minority in the West. We can scratch their back, they can scratch our back. The problem is, guys, when they scratch our back, you better watch out, isn't it? Because these are not just normal people. These are people who are sick. And yes, as you know, not for long, this will last. Because now they're coming under the same umbrella of human rights. You have to understand, under human rights, which is a great thing that Islam advocates, but Islam has its own, the human rights anyway. That's all you need to know. But just the concept of human rights, of course, Islam gives human rights based on divine revelation. I want to make that correction so you don't get me misunderstood. So again, I want to restate that Islam gives human rights as divine given rights, including to the non-Muslims. Allah has given them certain rights, to Ahl Kitab and so on and so forth. And that is something we see through the life of the Prophet. But these are based on Quran and Sunnah, divine rights. But under the pretext of these so-called human rights, these people have snuck in. So if you look from that perspective, okay, human rights movements, you can see positives. Okay, people were treated very badly in non-Muslim systems, and they fought for their rights. But the problem is that door was open and there was people who snuck in who should have not been there. So yes, blacks have, African Americans had human rights movements, and rightly so, because America was just one of the most racist countries still recently. And it is still till today. So yes, but then you had the LGBTQ who moved in, and then you had NAMBLA who moved in, and under the same, they're going to claim the same rights, guys. They're going to come with the same arguments, the same Supreme Court cases, if you understand the law at all, if you've studied the law at all, to understand how legislation is passed, how legislation is changed, how laws are changed. Someone challenges something, there's a court case, it gets brought to the Supreme Court, it gets upheld or overruled, and so on. And then it's referred to as a standard or a something to refer to, right? You'll hear this in court. Court refers to this versus that. 1985, Thompson versus, Jacob or something like that. So it becomes legal jargon and it becomes legal standards. So the problem is that under the so-called human rights that they claim, this very, very vast and large umbrella, these people have snuck in. So the LGBTQ should have never been there, but they snuck in. And you can see what they advocate. When they have the gay pride parades, do they advocate for morality and proper behavior? Or do they go in the little pink Speedos and dance around and spray water with water guns? People say, not everyone. Yeah, not everyone. But why don't they stop this kind of behavior? The ones who are more moral, for example. Because it's not like, this is very, very, very complicated, brothers and sisters. Bottom line is to understand that your children are at risk. NAMBLA, N-A-M-B, lower b, all the other words are capital, because when it comes to boy, okay, it is a lowercase. So it says an NAMBLA logo, the capital M, and a lowercase b symbolizes a man and a boy. Okay? Could be your boy. Oh yeah. Don't think these people... Look, homosexuality was considered a mental disorder. A problem, mental problem, since not too long. It was in the manual of, of psychology. Psychological, disorders. And then it was changed. And now it's called sexuality. Well, pedophilia is also considered a disorder, a problem, a psychological, mental issue. However, under the same pretext, with the same arguments, using the same blueprint, it will go in the same issue. It becomes just an issue of sexuality. You'll see. You will see. I pray that it doesn't. But look at the movement. Guys, 42 years ago, don't think that these people have just been, sitting around and meeting. No. They have an agenda. It took time for the LGBTQ to move around, and these guys are coming right behind them. They're following them step by step because they've already paved the way for them. And it's only a matter of time till they come. Why am I saying this? First of all, you brothers and sisters, those of you who are in masajid, those of you who pay the salaries of these imams and these scholars, those of you who have a say in the masjid, in your communities, to put pressure on these imams who are so popular to stop messing about and joining hands with these organizations who do not share our ethics. And if they do want to share hands with other organizations, such as maybe Christian or Jewish organizations that are conservative and share some of our ethics, then do it. If you fear that you are being marginalized and targeted in the West, in a non-Muslim country, you choose to be there, okay, then do it, but do it with the right people. And start learning the law. Study the law so you know how to fight within the system. And that's what I told you. How do you think the political parties stay within the law? They can push, they can criticize, they can attack because they know the law and they know how to stay within the system. And the system, it is man-made, so it has a lot of loopholes. And that is why the greatest lawyers will always be able to loop around the law. And there can be the strongest ones, they can actually beat around, the law, right? Because they know it's a human-made law, so there's always going to be some window. So the Muslim community, instead of just going the flow because they're scared and they don't want to push back, they are afraid to have conflict, and they're risking their lowercase b, their boys and their girls, the lowercase g, to be meeting the uppercase M or F. You just need to learn a lot. Teach. Get seminars. Understand how to protect yourself. How to be able to speak against it and to educate. Not that now laws are passed where you have to have a homosexual in the masjid on your, on your payroll or whatever. If not, then you get no government funding for this or that, or Islamic schools if you don't do this or don't do that. they'll pull out your funding. No, you need to know how to push, how to challenge. Yes, at the Supreme Court. Yes, hire the lawyers. Yes, why are people? I know this law and all this. I know it's not Islamic. Yes, I agree. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in democracy. I don't believe in that rule of law. Doesn't mean that we get outside of it as you live in that country. You've agreed to it, so you've, the Muslim is upon his contract. Okay, so awfu bil uqud. If you have made and citizenship and passport and entering a visa, as the scholars say, this is an agreement, so you have to stick to it. That does not mean that you take it above the law of Allah or do you believe in it. No, you follow it or stay within it as much as you can, but it doesn't mean you have to believe in it, right? And that's why you look so many political parties who do not agree with the laws of the West, and they are not even Muslim. So why are the Muslims so scared to disagree with democracy or with the laws within the correct system? You're in that system. You chose to be in the system. Study that system. Understand the system. How to fight within the system. How to oppose these kind of movements so you protect your children. Of course, not to mention that people should not maybe be living there unless they have a purpose, an objective, as the scholars have said, for da'wah. If not, the hijrah is mandatory. This is my opinion, an opinion that I take and follow the scholars of that opinion. But, if people have a purpose to da'wah and whatever, which most people don't, but hey, that's the reality. I cannot say anything. What can I say to you? Okay? But if you're there, understand where you are. What is the rule? How can you do it? And don't join hands with these people who are going to scratch your back and maybe hurt you from the back. Okay? Because they're not right in their mind. So study the law, fight within the law, within the system, push back, protect your children. Because, hey, you allowed the LGBTQ to push really hard. And now they are, in the government, they are everywhere. And you cannot do anything now. If you talk, they've reached the law. They control the law that if you say something, it is hate speech. The media, the social media will censor you. Hate speech, your account will be suspended. Because where's the freedom of speech? If you're not calling for anyone to be hurt or killed or something, then why can't you not intellectually, systematically fight back? Just like it's been done for hundreds of years within these corrupt, non-Muslim legal systems. They're human-made, so of course they're corrupt. And you can see, look at the corruption within the system. Look what happened in Parliament Hill. Look what happened with Donald Trump. I mean, it's not me saying that. You just need to observe. Just study the system so you can see. Come on, can you compare that with the divinely revealed system? And people have the audacity to go online and be interviewed and say, oh, do you believe in democracy? Yeah, of course I believe in democracy. I've been voting all my life. Of course I believe. All right. That's your issue. If you believe in it. You can say, look, I live within it. That's a different story. But to believe in it? Okay. Analyze it. Study its history. See its flaws. Fight within the system. Join hands with those conservative groups that they're not Muslim. It's okay. As the Prophet ﷺ had allegiances with non-Muslims. Even some non-Muslims fought in his army. And protect your children. That's it. It's not about, oh, I hate this one, I hate. Protect your children, man. NAMBLA. 42 years of activity. 1978, December 2nd. Mark the calendar, man. 42 years, much older than you and I. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our children. May Allah wake up the mashayikh, some of the da'is in the West. Not all, I'm not criticizing, not naming anyone. It's just those who have come forward already and they have themselves put themselves out there on these platforms to claim that, hey, we're cool with this. Hey, what can we do? I mean, we should be advocating and fighting for them and helping them and this and that. They're going to help us. All right. But I think there are many, many other options and you chose to take the easiest one, the one that doesn't require for you to fight or to have conflict with anyone. Because sadly, it seems that we've become so weak, we cannot stand any conflict, any criticism. We fear the blame of the blamers, as Allah tells us in the Quran. But Allah will replace us with people who love Him and they love when He loves them. May Allah forgive us for our sins. Please subscribe to the channel and support the dawah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum.